us now to discuss today's top sporting stories is our sports commentator guest, Ernest Opuni. Ernest, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Gavin.
Let's start then with Jose Mourinho at Chelsea. I mean, this story has been rumbling on for the last week or so now, since the problems have continued for Chelsea in the league.
Yes.
I mean, we're hearing now of the legal action from Dr. Eva Carneiro and the touchline ban for Mourinho and the fine as well. There's loads of stuff that's just mounting up on him at the moment.
Yeah.
How focused do you think he'll be on this weekend's match?
Well, I think he's going to be hoping he's anywhere near the game for starters if he's not going to be allowed to be in the ground. I do think there is a huge amount of distraction, some of which is of his own making, and I think he used to get away with some of it previously because of the form on the pitch, which is not holding up at the moment. I mean, this is the one ban that's kicked in. If he does something else, I'm sure there's one that he's accrued for the Southampton situation. It's interesting that Eva Carneiro has not just come at the club, but has mentioned him specifically. So that's an extra layer of pressure. So I think there's a risk that thinking about the game might not be on his top 10 list of priorities, which is not ideal.
Absolutely not. When we look at how much longer he might have left at the club, without sort of speculating too much on his departure, it's looking not great at all, really, when we come to sort of his form in the league and the circus that's surrounding him at the moment.
It doesn't seem to play in his favour, but I've got a funny feeling that this could be one of the times where a key player in this conversation, which is Mr. Abramovich himself, may actually depart slightly from his usual approach, which can be, let's face it, in the past, there's been a bit of an ejector seat. However, this is the first person that's come back. He's brought Mourinho back. I'm not sure he's entirely convinced that those he brought in between his two reigns, Mourinho's two reigns, have necessarily improved the team. And actually, if you do get rid of a struggling Mourinho, still one of the best managers, who out there right now is available who's better?
That's my next question for you. Who would they look to try and bring in should they dispose of his services?
I love the way you mentioned that it's going to try and should, and it's uncertain. I can't imagine, personally, that if you're going to go for a permanent appointment, that there's anybody other than, for instance, Pep Guardiola, who's an improvement. However, as an improvement. The rest, you're probably going to be ticking time at best. I don't think Guardiola is necessarily going to be wanting to come across. He dances to his own tune, and Chelsea will have a lot to do to persuade him to want to come. So they may not get someone like him. Who are they going to actually identify? And I'm not sure that there's actually someone out there ready, waiting and better.
Let's move on now to the Champions League matches tonight. Manchester United take on CSKA Moscow. They just can't buy a goal at the moment, though, can they? I mean, what is going on with Manchester United and their scoring? Do you remember previously, that last season, for instance, they were scoring 5 or 6 per game, but letting in quite a lot. Yeah. Does Van Gaal have a point now when he's saying that the defence is absolutely fantastic and they've not conceded in three matches, and they're looking sharp at the back?
They're looking sharper at the back, and to say they're looking fantastic at the back could be slightly overstating it, but at least they're not letting stuff in as much as they used to. However, I think there's an issue, and it probably goes back, if I'm honest, to the days of Moyes, actually, where one of the key things about United was the ability to break from back to front at pace. Moyes' style was a lot more staccato, and certainly I think it's fair to say that Van Gaal's a little bit ponderous. I'm also not entirely certain whether the idea of coming into a club with an idea saying this is the system I'm going to play and then get the players to fit around it is working. I'm not entirely certain how clear he is, and part of that's playing its way certainly when they're not actually managing to probably get the goals that they need. I think the last time they scored was against CSKA Moscow, and they've not scored for a good 2 or 3 games since, so not in prolific form.
Worry you for Rooney as well, having not scored in so many games?
Yes, for him. I think with Rooney personally, because it's something that he sets stall by. He contributes all over the pitch in a number of different ways. He's going to be frustrated. It wouldn't matter so much if somebody else was picking up and making sure that actually the goals could come from another source. So maybe the spotlight's on him, but I'm not entirely certain he's actually being deployed in a way where the pressure should be on him for scoring goals. Martial made a fantastic start. He's potentially going to come back into goals, I would imagine. But you can always count literally very quickly at a couple of glances where the goals come from, whereas United used to be able to get it from a range of places, and that's the biggest problem, I think.